The film begins as Noah, a teenage girl, is forced to leave her town, boyfriend Dan, and friends to move into her mother's new husband, Will's mansion. Noah is unhappy with the move and would rather stay in their former home. Her mother insists Noah must get used to living with Will since he will be her stepfather. Noah feels misunderstood and invalidated since nothing she says will change her mother's mind. Hours later, they finally arrive at Will's mansion. Will and his domestic staff welcome them. Rafaela and will then show her around the mansion. Noah is even more overwhelmed by the extravagant and luxurious mansion. She's even more amazed when she's shown to her room. Rafaela then apologizes for making them move. Noah hugs her mother and forgives her, seeing that her mother meant well. Moments later, Noah is by herself. She notices her new stepbrother, Nick, at the other end of the balcony. Before she can look closely at him, her best friend, Betty, calls, and Noah is forced to retreat. She spends the next few minutes talking to Betty about Will's luxurious mansion and how she's uncomfortable with the extravagance. She's startled by Nick, who had been eavesdropping on her conversation with Betty. Betty calls him a jerk, and he accuses her of being a brat. Their personalities clash from the very beginning. Suddenly, Nick's pet dog, Thor, growls at Noah, unfamiliar with her face since she's new to the household. Noah begs Nick to call off the dog, but Nick teases her a little before telling the dog to sit. Amid their unfriendly encounter, Will and Rafaela join them in the kitchen. Both parents are excited to see their children get along, but Noah feels embarrassed and walks away. When she's in her room, she realizes she hasn't ended the call with Betty, who had been listening to everything happening. Betty teases her about her heated encounter with Nick and asks if he is hot. Noah admits that Nick is handsome but argues that he is a jerk. However, Noah smiles dreamily as she talks about Noah. She is attracted to him. That night, Will and the new family eat dinner at an expensive restaurant. On the way to the restaurant, Noah texts Dan, but he doesn't respond. At the restaurant, Nick and Noah repeatedly insult each other subtly, unable to stand each other. Nick decides he has to leave, and a furious Noah says she's going home too. She insists that she take a cab home, but their parents insist that will take her home. On the way home, Noah and Nick continue to argue about each other's unbearable attitudes and personalities. Nick tells her to leave the car. Noah begs him not to throw her out, but the angry Noah refuses to listen and forces her out of the car, leaving her stranded in the middle of nowhere. After a few minutes, Noah flags down an approaching vehicle and discovers the driver, Mario, is a friend of Nick's. Mario is surprised to learn that Nick and Noah are step-siblings and reveals Nick ditched her on the road to attend a party. Infuriated, Noah tells him to take her to the party. When she gets to the party, Mario shows her around, and she finds Nick kissing many other girls. Noah becomes disgusted, realizing that Nick is a playboy. She confronts Nick when he is by himself for leaving her by herself, knowing she doesn't know her way around. Nick warns her not to get in his way. Noah threatens to reveal his true identity and promiscuousness to his father, who thinks Nick is decent and responsible. Nick seduces her and attempts to flirt and kiss her, but Noah pushes him off despite almost giving in to his antics. One of Nick's friends, Jenna, offers to keep Noah's company. She asks her to unwind and gives her a tag to keep gang members from a rival group away from her. They start to get along, but Noah is by herself again when her boyfriend, Lion, shows up. Ronnie's gangmate offers Noah a drink, but when she takes a sip, she discovers it has been spiked with alcohol. Nick shoves the boy away at that moment, warning him against ever coming to his parties. Noah yells at Nick for interfering, and he reveals that Ronnie and his gang spike minors drinks. Noah starts to feel tipsy, and Nick is forced to take her home. When they arrive home, he carries her up to her room. Nick attempts to touch her, but she shoves him off. The next day, Noah learns that Nick texted her mother that she would spend the night at Jenna's. She becomes furious that he checked her phone. Meanwhile, her mother thanks Nick for showing her around and connecting her to some of his friends. The siblings spend the afternoon at the beach, and Noah catches herself admiring Nick. That night, Nick and his friends attend a street racing tournament. Jenna invites a stunning Noah to hang out with them. Nick becomes distracted while racing when he sees Noah, but he eventually wins. In the meantime, Noah receives pictures from an unknown sender of Dan and Betty kissing and making out. Noah becomes angry and irritated and tries to take her mind off the heartbreaking revelation. Nick notices and becomes worried. When Noah makes out with one of the guests so she can take a picture with him as payback against her cheating boyfriend, Nick interrupts. He scolds her for being too loose at the party and learns of her revenge plot. He offers to kiss her instead for her revenge, and Noah gets lost in his kiss. Afterward, he says he will get Jenna to take her home and leave. Noah sends the picture of herself kissing Nick to Dan and waits for Nick. However, Nick gets carried away, making out with another girl. Noah mounts the driver's seat, admiring Nick's sports car. Unfortunately, Ronnie assumes Noah wants to race since the car is parked on the starting line. Nick realizes it is too late and hurries over to the racetrack. Noah panics and says Nick is supposed to drive, but Ronnie refuses. Noah agrees to race him and wins despite Ronnie's attempts to cheat and crash her car. However, despite winning the race, Nick loses his car and $15,000 since Noah is not a member of his team. Ronnie calls Noah a slut, and Nick attacks him, triggering an all-out brawl. Amidst the brawl, Noah recalls a traumatizing memory of physical abuse by her father against her and her mother. Soon after, Nick and Noah escape with Jenna and Lion. The next day, Will and Rafaela prepare for their rehearsal dinner. Noah receives text threats from Ronnie and laments that everyone hates her. Jenna cheers her up. In the meantime, Rafaela feels nervous about the rehearsal dinner, but Will assures her she is perfect for him. Nick spends time with his younger sister, Maggie. That night, after the dinner, Noah is by herself with Thor. Nick returns and joins her on the couch. Noah apologizes for Nick's car, but Nick stops and makes out with her. Halfway through their makeout session, Nick stops and says they should not continue this way since they're siblings. Rafaela interrupts and scolds Nick for missing the rehearsal dinner. The next day, Nick and Noah flirt while she washes her mother's car. Suddenly, Rafaela arrives with Dan, who claims he wants to apologize to Noah in person. Noah and Nick are not happy to see him. The next few days, Noah and Nick keep their inappropriate affair a secret from Dan, who continuously attempts to patch things up with Noah. Sometime later, Ronnie and his gang attack Will. When Will returns home, he finds Noah sleeping by the pool, and they start to make out again. Dan interrupts them this time, and Noah tells him that she will forgive him if he leaves and decides to keep her affair with Nick a secret. The next morning, Nick and Noah are relieved that Dan stayed quiet at breakfast. Later that day, Noah, Mario, Nick, and Anna, Nick's mistress, go out together. There is tension between Anna and Noah since Anna knows of their inappropriate relationship. When they are alone, Nick and Noah make out again. This time, he pins her to a wall and touches her seductively. Lion and Jenna interrupt. It is soon revealed that Nick brought them to a fight club, and Noah becomes uncomfortable. She attempts to talk Noah out of it, but he refuses. Unable to watch Nick get hurt, Noah leaves, and Mario follows her. He confesses his feelings for her and kisses her. Nick interrupts and stops him. Noah then tells Nick that she no longer wants a violent man in her life and ends their affair. Nick is hurt. Subsequently, Nick and Noah become distant, but they miss each other. Sometime later, Will informs Nick that her father cut her with a knife when Noah was younger during a physical abuse incident. He explains that her father has been released from prison and could hurt Noah or her mother, so he asks Nick to keep a watchful eye on her. At a party, a drunken Noah and Jenna need a ride home. Unknown to Noah, her ex-con father, Jonas, spies on them, but Nick arrives in time to pick her up. He takes her home, and they make out again. However, that morning, Will finds them together, shocking him. He tells them to end their relationship. Nick and Noah visit his sick sister, Maggie, at the hospital, and on their way home, Noah suggests that they make love since it could be the last time they would be together. They make love on a beach. The next day, Nick leaves Noah alone in the car, and she is kidnapped by Ronnie. The family involves the police, and video footage reveals Ronnie has her. In the meantime, Noah wakes up and discovers Ronnie works for her father, Jonas. Jonas demands a ransom of $1 million and says Will and Rafaela should not involve the police. The parents arrange the money, but Jonas doesn't show up at the pickup point, suspecting they will double-cross him. Nick informs the police about a tracking device in Ronnie's car and tracks the car to a garage. At the garage, Jonas forces Noah to lose the cops. Nick and the police pursue them in a high-speed chase across the city until Noah reaches a dead end. She and Nick team up to have Jonas apprehended. The officer terminates Jonas, and the Step family is reunited. Sometime later, Nick and Noah make out again, and their worried parents contemplate how to call off their love affair. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment what you think I should recap next, and I'll see you in the next video.